Shuklam Brahma Vichara Sara Paramama Adyam Jagadvyapinim Veena Pustakadharini Bhayadam Jandhyandhakarapaham Haste Sphatikamadikam Vidadhatim Padmasane Samsthitam Vandetam Parameshwarim Bhagavatim Buddhipradam Sharadam. Now Gauri, I think, managed. Okay, so Happy New Year to everyone, and let me open the documents. So just to give you the background, we were in the fourth mantra and just about to enter the next mantra, just the introduction to the next mantra. I'll show you the text here, and maybe Gauri, just before we start, it seems to have worked now. What difference did you, what methodology, did you use that it worked?
Before I was not logging in. Now I have to really sign in Zoom, and then only I could get into the. So you have to have an account with Google or Zoom account.
And Gauri, do you know, is this something that we can deactivate?
No, not much. Maybe Purnima might be having better idea about this because she has Zoom account.
No, but I actually signed in as well. Maybe that's why I didn't have a problem the first time either.
Yeah. No, but
check if there are any options. Yeah.
You see, the reason I'm asking is because tomorrow we are using this same link for the retreat, and if it's not working for some, it's of course a problem.
Let me check if there are options that you can set for the meeting.
That anybody, yeah. So, if you can check after the meet, after the Sanskrit today,
I'll do that.
Would be wonderful. Yeah. Then just so we know that. Thank you so much. So now, to give you all the background again, now we are back in Ishavasya Upanishad. So to give you all the background, the context is that the fourth mantra has begun to introduce the nature of the absolute reality, which is that it is the unmoving, which is faster even than the mind. And the senses or the devas could not capture it, do not capture it. It always runs ahead. The example I gave you was that of the crystal, that whatever appearances arise in a crystal, they're all the crystal itself, the presence of the crystal and the crystal's quality of giving rise to the appearances in the crystal always precedes the appearances. So here we are sort of in deep philosophy, but also wisdom. If you understand that the nature of our consciousness is such that it always precedes all other experiences, all emotions, thoughts, physical body experiences, prana experiences, all other experiences are preceded by the presence of consciousness. Without consciousness, the other experiences would not be possible. So, similarly, Matarishva, which is the universal life force, assigns the activities, the karmas, the activities of this phenomenal universe due to the presence of this ultimate reality. This is where we end it. And it's a deep subject. It's not something we can just capture in 1 minute, something we have to study deeply, which is what we are doing here. So now, na mantranam jamita asti iti purva mantra uktam api artham punar aha. Who would like to try? Maybe Gauri, would you like to try to translate this? If you are there.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. न मंत्राणाम जामितास्तिति पूर्वमंत्रोक्तम प्यर्थम अपि अर्थम. So here sandhi is there. Purva mantra uktam api artham punaraha. So
so we just go first we just go word by word, right? So na
mantranam. So mantranam is again three one. Yeah,
not quite.
No. I think I'm messing up.
Ramanam.
Rama.
It's a 6.3.
6.1.
Genitive
Yeah.
plural. No, 6.3.
No, 6.3. Sorry, 6.3.
Genitive plural.
Genitive plural. Then jamita asti. So asti.
Na mantranam jamita asti iti. So just up to here. Don't be too fast.
Jamita asti.
Now jamita, we need to understand, of course, if we don't know the word jamita, then we have to look it up.
Yes, right. So I'm looking for this meaning now. Jamita. Jamita is boredom.
Exactly.
So Jamita is one, is it?
Correct, yes.
So Jamita asti iti. So mantranam. So na mantranam, without having or without possessing mantra. No. Without having. No. Okay.
Try in Hindi. Gauri, try in Hindi.
No, okay. Okay. So mantron ke siva. Or
why are you saying siva? There is no siva here.
For no is like no, isn't it?
Mantranam jamita na asti.
Mantranam jamita. Okay, so I was treating na for mantranam, so that is wrong. So
na just means nahi, right? It means not.
Nahi. So yeah, mantra doesn't have mantranam.
You're overthinking it. It's actually really easy. You're totally overthinking it. So mantranam jamita na asti.
Na asti. So yeah, I think I'm just overthinking it.
I'll help you. So jamita means boredom. Mantron ka boredom nahi hota hai, right? So there is no boredom. I don't know what boredom would be in Hindi, but there is no boredom of mantras, in the sense of we never get bored with mantras.
Okay. Yeah.
How would you say boredom in Hindi? Anyone?
Boredom.
Boring, right? When
boring.
Something gets. Anybody? Purnimachi? Anyone? Do you know?
No, I remember the Marathi word, but not the Hindi one.
Well, then what is it in Marathi?
Kantala.
Sorry?
Kantala.
Okay. And how would you say?
I don't think that's English.
That's English.
Mantransa kantala yet nahi.
Exactly, right? That is what he said here. So the reason I'm staying so long with this is, do you get, this is actually a kind of joke that Shankaracharya made. So you see, people always think he is extremely serious only, but actually in his bhashya, you always see some little remarks that are actually a kind of joke. Do you see this? It's like a humorous remark, actually. Na mantranam jamita asti. He doesn't have to say that, right? He could just say, purva mantra uktam api artham punaraha. He doesn't need to say na mantranam jamita asti. But he adds that sort of like a humorous remark. Yeah.
Yes, actually, that's why it was difficult to relate, because boredom with mantra was like something I couldn't think
because
in the Isha Upanishad.
Exactly. In his bhashya, exactly. So, purva mantra uktam api artham punaha. Punaha means, from Hindi probably also, aha. Aha is a very old word for saying, to say, said. Vadati. Aha here means the same as vadati. So, Purnimaji, would you like to try? Purva mantra uktam api artham punaha vadati.
Purva mantra uktam. Purva is previous, earlier. Earlier,
Yes.
uktam is said. The earlier said mantra.
Yes.
Purva mantra uktam.
Api.
Api and.
No, api is more also. Also.
Purva mantra uktam api. Where is that?
Artham.
Artham is meaning.
Meaning, yes. Punaha.
Punaha is again.
Exactly. And then aha means vadati.
Okay.
So
saying the earlier mantra again.
not the earlier mantra, but purva ukta mantram. Mantroktam artham.
Oh, the earlier meaning of the mantra.
Correct. So he's saying that the Upanishad is now again stating the meaning that was mentioned or said, uktam, in the Purva mantra, in the previous mantra.
In the previous mantra. Okay.
The reason he says this is because you will see the next mantra sort of has the same meaning as the previous mantra. So he introduces the next mantra in this way to, so that the student doesn't think, but this has already been said. He's saying that we never get bored with mantras. So it's almost a humorous remark, like saying, yes, I agree, the next mantra wouldn't really be necessary. It is sort of repeating the meaning. But he says we never get bored with mantras. Therefore, now the Upanishad is stating the same meaning as was mentioned in the previous mantra. Is it clear to everybody?
The word aha is the same as vadati, is it?
So aha is a very ancient Vedic form. So you see there is a difference between Vedic Sanskrit and what we call sort of Laukika Bhasha, Loka Bhasha, sort of classical Sanskrit. It's called in the Western categories. Western categories, they distinguish between Vedic and classical Sanskrit, whereas in traditional grammar, we distinguish between Chanda. Chanda means Vedic Sanskrit, and Loka Bhasha, the language of the people, right? The sort of the common language. And aha is a very Vedic word. We find it more in ancient texts than in more recent texts. And it is formed through a Paninian structure, but there is no root to aha. The root for aha would be vadati. So we cannot say the root of aha is ah, for example. It is not like that. Yeah. So okay. Then now we come to the mantra. Tad ejati, tan naijati, tad dure, tad vantike. So here, Bhavanisha, you could try this. Tad ejati, it is a very beautiful mantra. All of you, you should learn by heart the Ishavasya Upanishad. It's the first Upanishad we learn by heart as youth. So it's also very beautiful. Tad ejati, tan naijati, tad dure, tad vantike, tadantarasya sarvasya, tadu sarvasya bahyatah. Yeah, so Bhavanishaji, tad ejati, tad na ejati. I helped you a little bit there.
I'm just looking up ejati. It says that it means shake or move.
Yes.
So it is shaking, or it is moving, and it is not moving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good. So it, rather than is moving, you could say it moves. It does not move. Because I think in English, we use the present simple, right, to describe universal states. Whereas if you say it's moving, it's sort of very specific, right? So it moves, it doesn't move. tad dure, tad, here I'll help you, tad u antike. Tad u. The u sort of has an eva meaning, like an emphatic. Tad u antike.
I don't know if I'm looking at the right bit, but what the dure and the dvantike. So dure, does that mean from afar?
Not from afar. If you look at the case, from afar would be durat.
So is it just an adverb?
Well, in English, you might say it is sort of an adverb, or it has an adverbial function in English. Yes, that's true. So, but first you need to, of course, get the meaning. That would be tad dure asti.
So
That-
it is far away.
It is far away, exactly. Tad dure asti, tad u antike asti.
Antike, so it is also close.
Exactly. Wonderful. So this is this language, right, of the Upanishads, which is like a Zen language. Zen masters, they also speak like this about the reality, that the reality comes and it doesn't come. It goes and it never goes. The same kind of language here. Many people, they don't know this about the Upanishads, but the Upanishads, they are sort of the earliest non-dual Advaita texts that speak like this. This was not invented by Zen masters, this kind of language. Yeah, wonderful. So then we have, let us see who is here. We have also Ramesh ji. You can try tad antar asya sarvasya. Just maybe this much. Tad antaha. Antaha antar.
Ant means inside.
Asya.
Sar means it is inside.
Very good. Yes. Tad antaha asya sarvasya.
Sarvasya means everywhere.
Not everywhere, but everything.
Everything. Asya means in me as well.
Of this, all this. So tad antaha asya sarvasya asti. How would you translate?
It is in everything.
Wonderful. Exactly, Raveshji. And I think in this case, you might even do the next part also. Tad u sarvasya asya bahyataha. The u means eva, indeed. Sarvasya asya, we had already, and then bahyataha.
Bhashya means meaning, isn't it?
No. Bahya means, can anyone help?
Sorry. Bhashya means my fortune. Is it not?
Outside, right?
Outside.
Oh, sorry. Inside and outside. So it is in everything outside as well.
Correct. So it is inside everything, and indeed it is outside of everything. Yeah. So here we have a wonderful sort of description of the absolute reality of the Atma Tattva, the true reality of ourself. Yeah.
What
So now
was the meaning of ajanti? I can't find it again.
Ajati, you will see below, is explained by Shankaracharya as chalati. Like here, Purnimaji, you read Devanagari?
Yes.
Okay, so here chalati, right? You can see
Okay.
explains
Okay.
Ajati as chalati, but the root ajri kampani, it means kampana actually. It means to shake, right? So to move in the sense of to shake. So, okay. So now we come to the commentary, and here he says, it's quite a short commentary. So he says, Tat means Atma Tattvam. For those of you, maybe you are a little rusty now after the holidays, just to remind you how a bhashya works, because maybe one day you will be advanced enough to read a bhashya on your own. Bhashya works like this. A bhashya always repeats the words that are in the mantra itself. So if you look closely, Tat refers back to Tat. And then the words Atma Tattvam Yat Prakritam is the explanation of the word Tat. Then Ejati is the word Ejati. And then Chalati explains how Ejati is to be understood. Then again, Tad refers to the Tat here. cha na ejati, naijati. And then he explains, svataha na eva chalati. Svataha achalam eva sat chalati iti eva arthaha. Kincha and tad, again, dure is in from the text. And then he explains that dure means varisha koti shataihi api avidusham aprapyatvat dura iva. Right? So is it clear how a commentary works? Is it unclear to anybody? Okay, good. So now we have tat atmatattvam yat prakritam ejati chalati tad eva cha na ejati svataha na eva chalati. So Gauri, would you like to try?
Yes, tat atmatattvam. Tat atmatattvam is 2-1.
No, it is the
no.
subject of the verb. Gauri, you have become very rusty in just 3
Yes,
months.
yes. I think
What
I lost
happened?
my touch in 1 month's time.
What happened? Did you stop drinking coffee?
I stopped learning Sanskrit.
So that, no, atma tattvam. You see, tattvam is like phalam. So
Yes,
that refers to that reality of the atma.
So 1 first, for 1-1.
1-1.
Yat prakrutam. Prakrutam is srushti, isn't it?
Here, maybe I have to help you a little bit. The word prakrita has the sense of, here has the sense of the, it means sort of the natural, but here it means in this presently discussed. There's no word discussed there. The meaning is like, sometimes I'm not sure in Hindi, is there a word like prasang mein?
Prasang mein.
Like that which is currently under discussion, like when you talk about something. So this current Atma Tattva, in the sense of this Atma Tattva that is under the current discussion, that we are presently discussing in this sense. So Yat Prakritam, so that which is presently under discussion. There is no word discussion here, but that is implied by the word Prakritam here. It's more of a technical term. Do you have some equivalent of this in Hindi or Marathi?
In Hindi, I don't know.
Like jiske baare mein hum baat kar rahe hain, in that sense. मतलब ये आत्म तत्व जिसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं, उसका स्वरूप ऐसा है. So this prakritam has this sense, yat prakritam. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in Marathi, I think we have this word like upapoha or something like that, but that is very, very, very traditional word.
Okay, yeah.
So, I mean, hardly you find it in the ancient literature or something like that, but not in a everyday use. Yes.
So Bhavanisha asks here, how is the word for the language prakrit come about? It's the same word, actually. It's the same word. It is not from this technical term. It is from the fact that Prakrita languages, it's not just one language, Bhavanishaji. Prakrita language is a family of languages, and those are known as the natural languages. And Prakrita also has the sense of natural from Prakriti, whereas Samskrita has the sense of well-refined. Why? Because Samskrita was the language that had a grammar. From the time of Panini, and you might remember in our WhatsApp group, we had some discussions about Panini. From the time of Panini, Sanskrit was no longer considered a natural language in the sense of a commonly spoken vulgar language. So, Bhavanijaji, in linguistics, the term Prakrita is often rendered as vulgar. But you see, in English, the word vulgar means something else today. But we speak of vulgar Latin. I don't know if you know this term, Bhavanijaji. Vulgar Latin, right, means the commonly spoken Latin. And then there is the literary Latin, which is the Latin of the Cicero and all these great thinkers. And then there is so-called church Latin, which is the Latin used by the church. So this very similar phenomenon that happened in India also. So there was the common language, which was known as the Prakrita. And then there was the Sanskrita, which was only for the scholars, for those who were capable of digesting years and years of grammar and so on. Yeah. Okay.
I can see here there are multiple meanings of Prakrut and Prakrut. Both of them, like Prakrut is also called as a wished or something begun or real. I mean, how to really, in ancient literature, is it Prakrut used always as under discussion or
Yeah,
in
not in
tradition?
ancient, in Shankaracharya's Bhashya, in Shankaracharya's commentary, that which is under discussion. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But there are other forms of it, like, for example, Nagarjuna. I don't want to go in too deep. We want to go back to the text. But Nagarjuna, the great non-dual Buddhist master who preceded Shankaracharya by 500 years at least, he uses Prakrita in a different context as the sort of primordial, original nature of things. So like he speaks of the Prakrita or Prakriti, sometimes also Prakrita Prabhasvara Chitta, the mind that is primordially luminous. That means our pure consciousness, our original nature. So he uses Prakrita sometimes in the sense of original, natural in the sense of original. It's very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, so here we have Tat Atma Tattvam, Yat Prakritam, that which is under discussion, Ejati Chalati. It moves. Tad eva cha na ejati. And then he explains that as svataha na eva chalati. So Gauri, how would you translate that? Svataha na eva chalati.
The one who doesn't move on its own.
Very good. See, now you are back. I don't know if your husband brought you a coffee. Exactly. Very good. So he's distinguishing here. And I hope that after this Upanishad class, many classes of Ishavasya Upanishad, you will get a deep understanding of the meaning of this. Shankaracharya is distinguishing between the Atma Tattva on its own, in its own true nature, and the Atma Tattva as it appears or seemingly appears to the ignorant. And if you remember the example, the famous example of the crystal on its own, right? I remember last time Rameshji, he did this very well, the crystal on its own, and the crystal when something appears in it. This is still the same discussion, okay? So then Purnimaji, he adds an explanation, Svataha achalam eva sat, chalati iva iti artha. The same meaning, but just he's putting it in different words. So Svataha achalam eva sat.
Swataha is again same, right? Swata is by
on,
oneself.
On its
on
own.
Its
by,
own.
By itself, yes.
By itself. Achalam eva. Achalam is not moving.
Correct.
Eva is only.
Correct.
Or indeed, only.
Yeah. No, it's good, yeah.
Sat.
Sat here is the present participle of asti. Asti means so that being, like, so being on itself or by itself, being unmoving, chalati iva iti artha.
Oh, chalati iva is moving, is the meaning. Iva artha is the meaning, right?
Yes, but iva, you forgot iva?
Only.
No. Iva, there is iva, chalati iva. Not eva, but iva.
Oh.
Iva means seemingly.
Seemingly. Oh, okay.
So, on its own, being unmoving, it seems
seemingly
to move.
It seems
to move. This is the meaning. Yeah? Excellent. Then we have kincha. Kincha means moreover, and. Yeah? Kincha tad dure varsha koti shataihi api avidusham aprapyatvat dura iva. And then we supply asti. So here, Bhavanichaji, tad dure means varsha koti shataihi api avidusham aprapyatvat dura iva asti. Not so easy. Just go word by word.
So that dure, is that referring to the bit in the mantra where it
Correct.
talks about you.
Correct. Yes.
So it being far away.
Yes.
Varsha, I'm just picking that one up. Does it says it means year?
Yes.
And then Gotisha.
Koti Shatihi. Koti Shataihi.
So Goti, is that the end or the highest?
No, Koti means a crore. You know, the famous word for in India that we use for 10 million, a crore. And then Shataihi, Shata means 100. So even with hundreds of crores of years, in English, we would probably say, even in hundreds of millions of years, we would say in English. What is in hundreds of millions of years? Api avidusham aprapyatvat dura iva asti.
So Api, indeed. Avidusham.
Avidusham. Yeah.
Does that mean ignorant or of ignorance?
It is related to ignorance, but it is the opposite. Avidusham is the opposite of vidvan. So vidvan comes from vidvas, which becomes vidusham in the 6th-3, and then avidusham means those who do not know.
Okay, so those who
So
do
meaning
not-
the ignorant. So to those who are ignorant,
Those who
aprapyatvat,
aprapya, they are those who are failing to attain.
no. So here we have to distinguish between the suffix, not between, we have to identify the suffix also. So like, for example, sundaratvam. Sundara means beauty. Sundaratvam is the state of beauty. Sundaratva, right? The state of beauty. Aprapya means unattainable. And aprapyatva means unattainability in the sense of the state of not being attainable. Due to its, and then that is in the 5th case. So due to its unattainability to the ignorant. Yeah, it's slightly complex language. Due to its unattainability to the ignorant, varsha koti shataihi, even in millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, dura iva asti.
It is far away.
Yes, it is far away. It seems to be actually, dura iva. It seems to be far away due to its unattainability for the ignorant, even in hundreds of millions of years. A very powerful statement, isn't it? So if we are ignorant of the nature of our Atma, then it is not attainable even in hundreds of millions of years. Therefore, by implication, how, now I want to ask all of you, use your sharp logic. How then is the Atma attained? If it is unattainable, or if it seems to be unattainable to the ignorant, even in hundreds of millions of years, if we follow this way of thinking of Shankaracharya, if we accept this statement, what does it imply? How is it attained then? This is your exam now. Please try.
By understanding the nature of the Atma,
Yes.
then it is attainable, right?
Yes, only through understanding, not through any other action. You see, this is the specialty, because the nature of Atma itself is jnanam, is knowledge, awareness, consciousness. Therefore, it is only through understanding its nature that we attain it, not through an action. It is only through directing the mind upon the Atma, whose nature is consciousness, that we learn its nature. You understand? So there is no amount of even mantras. We can use mantras to purify ourselves, to connect to beings, you know, like the Devi who will inspire us and who will lead us towards the knowledge of Atma. But no amount of action will give us will produce the knowledge of Atma. If you get this point, you have understood Shankaracharya's teaching. Na karmana, na prajaya, dhanena, etc. It is not through action. It is not through making children. It is not through wealth, accumulation of wealth. So no matter how wealthy you get, it will not get you closer to the understanding of Atma. Yeah. No matter how skillful you are in actions, no matter how brilliant you are in any field, it will never get you closer to Atma. Only understanding will get you closer, right? Okay. Then we have Rameshji. Tad u antike is again from the mantra, which you read before, means samipe, atyantam eva vidusham. Try, Rameshji.
Yeah. Tadu antike. Antike means inside.
Antike means close.
Yeah, close. Tadu antike. Samipe. Samipe means closer.
Exactly. Very close. Yes. Atyantam eva. Atyantam. Do you have that in Telugu? Or Tamil? Atyantam.
Antam I can understand.
Atyantam means extremely, extremely.
Extremely. So Antike is very close, extremely very close.
Yes, exactly. Vidusham.
Vidusham, knowing.
For those who know. Yeah. So it is.
For those who know, it is very close to them.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good. Wonderful. And then Purnimaji, Atmatvat na kevalam dure antikecha. This is not so easy, Purnimaji.
Atmatvat.
Now you have to, now here we are learning about suffixes, pratyayas, or affixes, they call them nowadays. I never understand how they went from suffix to affix, because when we were learning, 20 years ago in English, they used to call it a suffix. Now I see they call it an affix, but whatever the, prefixes and then affixes, upasarga and pratyaya. So here we're talking about the affix tva. Sundara.
That makes it the quality of the Atma, right? When we add the tva.
Not a quality, but a state. Bhava. Bhava, not a guna.
Okay.
So we have Sundara and then Sundaratva. Sundara is the quality. Sundaratva is the state of being beautiful.
Okay. So Atmatva is the state of the Atma.
Correct.
So this Atmatvat would be the
fifth case.
The state of the Atma. Na is no, kevalam is only.
No, na kevalam, not only.
Not only.
But
not
still,
only, dure is far, right?
Yes, antikecha. But here you have misunderstood atmatvat, because atmatvat is which case? What case is it? Which vibhakti is it?
Four, right?
Fifth case.
Fifth. So, okay.
And the fifth case is used in the sense of the due to, on account of. So, atmatvat. So because of its being the Atma, it is not only far, antikecha, it is also close.
Also close. So I have a grammar question. When we add the suffix, it still follows the same cases. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Same cases, yes. So you see, this is very deep here, that the statement, the Atma Tattva cannot be known even in hundreds of millions of years to those who cannot be attained even in hundreds of millions of years to those who don't know it. is, of course, immediately turned upside down when you know it. Because Atmatva, because it is your very Atma, it's your very true nature. Did you see? So
Yes.
because of it being your true nature, of course, it is also very close. How could it be far away? Is it clear somehow?
Yes.
Okay, good. So then we have, let's see what the time is, because we started saying we will, oh, it's already far beyond the time. Okay, so let us finish here, because I got some feedback that people would prefer less time in the class rather than more, which is fine. So let us continue here next time. What do we take from this as a teaching, as a we can say as a something practical, is that you see our Atma's nature being ultimately Satchit Ananda. This is how it is ultimately understood, that it is pure presence, truth, it is consciousness, awareness, it is the knowing aspect of our being. And the deeper you go into us with this class, the more you will understand this. You see, the knowing aspect of our being never perishes. The moment you die, the knowing aspect is still there. You might lose your identity as Purnima, as Gauri, as Ramesh, as Bhavanisha. Let's say that try to use your imagination. What happens the moment you die? So perhaps first you will be disoriented. Perhaps you will lose your body experience, but the knowing, the experiencing aspect is still there. Even if, imagine, Bhavanishaji is transported to a divine loka, which is what we aspire to, still there is something in her which is experiencing that new loka, even if she has maybe forgotten that she was Bhavanisha in this world, even if she's forgotten who she got married to, whatever it is, all her identity, but the knowing, experiencing nature is still there. And that knowing, experiencing nature is what we call chit. Yeah. And that requires sat. It requires to be present. You cannot have a chit that is not present. So sat and chit always go together. And now the fascinating part is that the closer we come to this pure knowing nature, rather than focusing on my identity as Vidyabhaskar only, or my identity as a scholar, or my identity as a father, or my identity as a body which is slowly perishing, or my identity as a human being, or my identity as an emotional person, or my identity as someone with health problems or without health problems. Rather than staying limited with limited identities, the closer we come just to this pure knowing aspect, that which actually survives our individual death, we discover that this chit, this pure knowing aspect, is actually very, very silent, still, and blissful. That is why it is known as Ananda. Yeah? And all traditions in the world discovered this. It is not just a statement of the Upanishads. But the fascinating thing is the Upanishads were the oldest traditions to discover this. You find this everywhere. You find it in Buddhism. You find it in Jainism. You find it to some extent even in Christian mystical traditions, not the religious ones, but the mystical traditions. Ancient Greeks, Socrates, he says, the closer I come to my soul, the more quiet and at peace, the more serene I am, right? So he also discovered this. I hope this helped you a little bit to understand why we are studying this. Yeah, any questions? Then we can finish.
The bliss, can we feel that even if we are not in the body?
Yes, of course. And the whole point being that once we realize the Atma, our true nature, once we realize it and deepen that realization, not only just a glimpse of it. You see, many people can have a glimpse of it, but we have to deepen that glimpse through sadhana, through practice, spiritual practice. Then once we have deepened that, it is never lost. So even if your body perishes, which it will, this is the nature of the body, it will perish. Even if your mind or your life force, prana, it perishes, which it will, but your jnana does not perish. So when you die, then you do not lose that knowledge of your true nature, which means you are then established in the state of bliss, even beyond your physical death. This is, and of course, yes, from a scientific point of view, we could say, how do you know that? Right? A scientist could, I've always studied science, a scientist could challenge this teaching and say, how do you know that? How do you know that your experience of bliss will continue after death, right? This is a good challenge from a scientist. And the response is, look, we cannot demonstrate it by means of measurements or scientific tools, because scientific tools, they measure objects. Here we are talking about the subject. We're talking about the experience, the consciousness that is experiencing. And by definition, that cannot be measured. But we have indications. For example, in deep states of meditation, and of course, a scientist will challenge that because they will say, I haven't seen it myself. But if you would train a scientist to also be a deep meditator, in deep states of meditation, we actually know that consciousness is not only limited to the body. Even very humbly speaking, I don't usually say such things in